Lunch Money Lambert, Jeff Malott. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation, where we talk about fishing and competition. It's your boy Ox Pippin, aka Ox Fishing. Don't come over here tripping. Hey, hope you enjoy the show. Jeff Malott, Lunch Money Lambert, Lego. Hey, welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Yeah. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Kayak Bass Nation. Hey. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation. Welcome to the Kayak Bass Nation.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to KBN Live. Happy Monday night to you. I'm Jeff Malott. I'm a partner over there, Ryan Lambert. What's up, Ryan?
What's going on, man?
Oh, not much, man. No big tournaments this weekend, but there's still a little bit to talk about. Everybody saw on social media you had your new toy debut this weekend. You want to tell everybody about that thing?
Well, there was a big tournament. It was down down on Lake Sinclair, but it was a bass boat tournament that I fished. I went down to buy Dylan Lowry. His dad was selling his Phoenix, so I went down there to pick the boat up and fish a little derby with him, and we got roasted. Turns out Dylan's dad can actually fish. He didn't get all those trophies, just for being alive. So he spanked us pretty good, and then took my money and then sent me home with a boat.
Yeah, that's good. How'd the boat roll though? Did you enjoy it?
It was tough.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man! It's something else. Yeah, I'm all right with it. I'm not quitting kayak fishing. Everybody's asking, blah blah blah. I'm not quitting kayak fishing, but I just want to have something to get my daughter out and run the river and be able to cover some water, and hopefully she'll enjoy it more in the summertime so we can get out and run 75 and and have a good time.
Yeah, I feel that. That'd be fun. You gonna use it any for pre-fishing, or are you just gonna stick with what you do?
No, I mean, I'll probably fish our local lakes. Like when I'm home during the week, I may do some afternoon dog fights and stuff, but I'm not going to drag it to a tournament and pre-fish or anything.
Yeah, that's cool. Good stuff. There's I think somebody made a mediocre meme about you dropping your Hobie, but the rumors are false.
Chase was just hating because he didn't make the meme. You know how that goes.
I see. Yeah, the other big deal this weekend, this isn't fishing related, but the Arkansas Razorbacks made the Sweet 16. We're going to slide that in there real quick.
Congratulations.
Go Hogs. I don't know if whoever's watching, if your team's still in.
School?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
There's been some big upsets. There's been some big upsets in that tournament. I know Jackson, he put together a bracket, and most people's had fallen apart after the first round.
Oh my God. Everybody's losing. It's crazy. So if Arkansas gets bounced, I'm going for that Loyola Chicago team. That's who I'm gonna pull for the rest of the way.
Okay.
So,
all right.
We'll see. Fun times. March Madness is here. Then there was another. There was one good post that got a lot of likes and laughs this week. Was the let me see if I can get it on the screen for us. Hang on. It was the Scott Martin. Let's see here. There it is. Scott Martin post.
Fishing in front of him.
Yeah, there it is. Do you know anything about that? You know anything more about that, or know who that is? I don't know who that is. I thought it was hilarious.
I don't know. I read some comments. I think it was a guy just fun fishing.
Yeah, rolling in
the
an old
Tennessee
town
Bass Nation. Steve-O had the Tennessee Bass Nation event on Pickwick this past weekend that he put on, and hats off to Big Fish Barnett from our local club. Barnett went down there and laid the wood pretty good on him, and he took home the glory on that one. But they said it wasn't too bad, obviously the water was way up. There's churning it through the dam right now, But everybody was safe. Everybody had a good event. And I think that guy commented and said they were talking back and forth, talking about fishing most of the day. And I mean, that's some good exposure for the kayak fishing side too.
Yeah, and I don't think it affected Martin. He's still in the top 5, or at least was today at some point. I kind of lost track towards the end. So
he didn't catch him today. Well, I don't know unless he got on him late. He only had a few fish in bucket this afternoon. I was watching, man, dude. That was there was some crazy stuff. Those guys getting up in the tail race there. I watched one of them, man. He got up there and about fell out of the boat a couple times. Hooked a 5-pound smallmouth, fought it off a tree, and then lost it trying to get it in the boat. It was dramatic.
My God. Was that Steve Kennedy? Was that who that went down with? Okay, that's what I thought.
It was.
Yeah, I saw some highlights from up there, man. I was thinking about, some of the events coming up on Pickwick for the kayak guys. Can you get up towards the dam and fish that when the current's rolling like that in a kayak? That's crazy up there.
No, I mean, probably, I don't know about when it's rolling that bad. I mean, generally speaking though, if you know what you're doing, you can either hug the bank and try to get in there's always kind of a little current seam right up against the bank, or you can eddy hop. But I don't know. I haven't seen it when it's flowing that much.
I got you.
I tried. I'd love to. I would, like, I'm sitting there watching that on TV, man. Like that is a stacked looking spot. And I'm sure tonight's guest, Eric Thomason, one of tonight's guests, I'm sure he would do the same. Eric's a river guy too. Love that current and the big brown fish.
What I like is Live Scope can't help you. They're just up there catching them, fighting the waves.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. You're not seeing a whole lot of live scoping at all on this one. I like it. It's a lot more of a fishing tournament.
Yeah. Old school, just reading the current and figuring it out, huh? Let's see here. Well, these two guys we're going to have figured it out so far this year. You guys saw in the announcement, Eric Thomason and Jimmy McClurkan, both Tennessee guys, coming on to join fellow Tennessean Ryan Lambert, talk about their early season AOY lead on both their respective trails. And I want to ask them a few questions about, it seems like that the majority of anglers are kind of settling into one or the other, not necessarily that they're choosing size, but kind of one fits certain groups of folks over the other, and how that seems to be settling in for them. So we'll ask them about that when they get on here and how they have kind of figured it out so far. So what do you think? Take a little break and bring them in?
Let's do it.
All right. Be right back, y'all. KBN Live is brought to you by Western Sun Vodka. Western Sun Vodka is a 10 times distilled, award-winning, gluten-free vodka. They are independently owned and crafted in Pilot Point, Texas. All right, we're back. Eric and Jimmy.
Hey, guys.
What's happening? Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, sir. It's kind of a perfect time to do it. There was a few local tournaments, and like I think somebody mentioned that Tennessee Pickwick tournament, but no Hobie tournament, no KBF tournament. Good stopping point to talk to the two leaders. So I'm sure we're going to have some questions for you. We're interested to pick your brain a little bit to see how you got where you got so far. So
how does it feel to be on top, boys?
Feels good right now. A lot of fishing left to go, though.
It was pleasant surprise, for me, because I figured I'd fish fairly consistent, but didn't fish top 10s, top 5s, but had 3 top 25s, and I had no idea I'd come out ranked first after the first 3, but my goal was to fish the first 3 and kind of see where I was at, and then calibrate how I wanted to fish the rest of the events. And so it's a great feeling to know that you're in Eufaula and get to fish with Lambert. And, looking forward to November and probably going to fish 2 or 3 more Hobies. So
you try to lock that spot down.
Yeah, I would say that Russ hadn't fished 3 events yet.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
he's got 2 top 5s. I've got 3 top 10s. So I feel like I'll be somewhere in the top 10 after we got an event fixing to come up on Pickwick. But I just need to go catch them. I'm going to swing for the fences the rest of the year and try to make it back to that 10 house. That's my goal. You were talking about picking one over the other. So my goal for the year is to make it obviously back in that 10 house. And I am fishing a handful of Hobies, but just didn't completely jive with their schedule. So I'm fishing more Hobies or more KBF, a handful of Hobies, and a handful of BASS. So I'm fishing all three.
I got you. And there's several doing that, but it seems like you almost have to make a commitment outside of, there seems like half a dozen people that just fish every single thing that's out there that live on the road, but you got to make a commitment one way or the other. I know, Eric, before we came on, we were talking about, last year and how it's set up and your mindset coming into this year, that mental commitment to make it happen. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So, 2019, I had a good year fishing the Hobies, made it to Ouachita and finished well there. Had a top 10 there, came in 7th in the first official TOC. And, come the next year, I've planned to fish Norman and Kentucky Lake and maybe try to, fish one more, and didn't really put enough strategy into the points program of getting into the TOC. The first year they did it, it was if you placed in the top 6, you got an invite to go, and I finished 5th at Gunnersville. And so that was honestly a little bit easier than the points program is. But I fished close to Lambert, had a great practice at Norman, caught a 22-inch fish on a lake where there are no 22-inch fish in practice, and did pretty well. And then fished close to Lambert. He did really well in that tournament. I just didn't have it, and left early on that Sunday, and then left early on Sunday at Kentucky Lake, and then I was kind of stuck with the shootout. I think, Jeff, you fished the shootout to try to get into Ouachita, and it's a stressful way to try to get in. And I knew, Lambert was on fish because of the state tournament on the TOC was in Knoxville, which is my hometown, and I knew Jordan was going to do well, and I really wanted to be a part of that, and kind of was, supportive of those guys, but, upset that I didn't make it. I finished 5th in the shootout, and I said, I'm going to fish the first 3 in 2020 and see where I'm at and then recalibrate. And then again, like I said, I couldn't have got off to a better start.
Yeah, I know you always want to win every event you go to, but man, if you can clock top 20s every time, you're going to be sitting pretty. Yeah,
exactly. And in 2019 nationally, I did really well, and in 2020 locally, I did really well and didn't do anything, on the national scene. So it's just kind of like Jimmy says, you get in a point where you're in a good spot, you can fish a little more aggressively, and Hartwell, I think, suits my style quite well. I'm excited about Hartwell. More than likely, Pickwick is going to be one I fish, and then there's a few of us down here that's kind of, tinkering around with going to Champlain. So, and to kind of answer your question, for me, I'm a big proponent of kind of angler satisfaction and angler, participation and administer how the tournament's administered. And I've fished KBFs, I've fished BASS, I've fished Hobies. I just feel like they've got it down to a science. They want your fish to count. They want you to do well. They want you to have a good experience. And, Lambert's won several, and he's not done well at several, and he still had a pretty good angler experience, as have I. And that group that fishes that is a fairly tight-knit group. I'm on the Hobie fishing team regionally, and I obviously fish for Frontier Outdoors in Kingston, and those guys are great to me. And so I'm in a Hobie. Hobie's been good to me, and so that's going to be my primary trail. But like I said, I fished the BASS on Chick and the BASS on Fork and did pretty well in those. And that's kind of my stance on it. And there's so many choices now. You really have to sit down and see what suits your schedule. And I think it's great that there's that many options.
Yeah, for sure. Jimmy, what about you, man? You got off to just about the earliest start because you were way down there in Florida fishing the 10 Invitational and the 10 from last year. So, how's your season shaped up so far?
So good. Yeah, we were down fishing. I qualified for the 10, so I went down to fish the 10 Invitational and the Trail Event 1 and Trail Event 2, which were concurrent with the 10 Invitational. And day 1, I had 86 inches or so and finished 5th. And day 2, I went back to the same spot and had 85 inches pretty quick. And I almost didn't make the check-in on day 1. So I on day 2, I caught that 85 inches, thought it would be good enough for a top 10. I fished around a little bit more, but I left that event saving my fish. I should have kept fishing, but I left that event probably a couple hours early, went and dropped my boat off, took a shower, and then went to check in. So kicked myself a little bit. That was an 11th place finish. I feel like I could have cracked the top 10 pretty easy. But then we went up to Murray, and a buddy of mine, I went up there the weekend before and stunk it up. And a buddy of mine was on them pretty good, invited me over, and we both whacked on them pretty good on Murray day 1. But like I said, a lot to go. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot, but there's a lot of guys that have only fished 2 events. I need to be swinging for the fences. I need to try to get all top 5s to put myself in a good position for the championship to try to get back in that 10 house.
What's the qualification process for the 10 house now? Is it only live events? I remember a couple of years ago, it used to have there's an online or challenge series component. They went to all live events now, didn't they?
It's your best 3 trail events and your championship. The trail events are
the regional championship.
Well, it's not regionals anymore. We had regionals 2 years ago. Last year it was super trails. This year it's just the trail series championship. So your best 3 trail events and your trail series championship. And there's no more regions in KBF. So it's a little bit, I feel like it's going to be a little bit harder. You know, I was only fishing the Southeast last year. And then I went to like 4 different regions to get my points last year, but it was much smaller fields. This year going nationally, we're having 140 to 150 boats at every event. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit tougher to get your points this year.
Yeah, I know last year Ryan and I talked a few times on different shows about the field size is really struggling. We didn't know if it was COVID or what the deal was, but the field sizes for the trail events, was there just too many of them, Jimmy? Is that why it's
there was 4 or 5 regions, and each of them had 5 or 6 events. So you were having 30 events or plus. Where this year he's gone national, and it's you're seeing the same fields that the Bassmaster and the Hobies are putting up.
Yeah, and the 2-day thing, I wasn't sure how to take that. What do you think about that, Ryan? The 2-day setup where it's not a 2-day event, but it's 2 different events, back to back.
I don't necessarily understand the thought process, but I mean, I guess it's just to add another event, another opportunity to get points. Like the 2-day events is more like, in my opinion, more strategic. Like, as far as, managing your fish. Like if you come in, you're like, hey, I'm gonna swing on Saturday and I'm gonna head on back to the house on Sunday. you can come in and just blow a spot out. I don't know if that, again, if that's a participation thing, just saying, hey, you have an opportunity if you will travel for this weekend. You basically get double points potentially, for fishing both days.
Yeah, we asked Cody that when he was on after the Murray event. How do you enter that with the mindset of they're 2 different events? So do you save fish or you just lay on them on Saturday, Jimmy? How do you handle that?
I'm swinging for the fences both days. So I laid off of them. I laid off of them on the Kissimmee 2, knowing that I had qualified for the 10 and I was going to be back there fishing for them again. If I hadn't qualified for the 10, I would have sat there and hammered on them for that second event. But I'm going to, on Pickwick 1 that's coming up, I'm going to swing for the fences. If I sit in one spot and I'm catching them, I'm a spot lock and sit there all day and pound on them, knowing that I've got 2 or 3 other spots that I can go to on Sunday.
It sounds a lot more, not exactly, but a lot closer to the BOS TOC qualification process with best 3 events. I know there's a championship involved too, but very similar. So, both of y'all are sitting in a good position. Eric, for the rest of the events that you fish, when it comes to the BOS side of things, are you going to fish different? Are you going to fish the same? Are you going to be more aggressive? How's that going to affect you?
I mean, I'm a power fisherman, and I've got one speed, and it's kind of wide open. And the warmer the weather gets this time of year, the better off I'm going to be. And like I said, I'm very happy with where I'm at, but I haven't fished a tournament to the potential that I can. So I'm going to be very aggressive, and I'm a big river guy, and one of the things that's really unique about Hobie is they really have generous boundaries, and they kind of like if you want to. Lambert and I were probably the only two idiots to get to a creek at Seminole that was a little dangerous to get to. And I caught my first shoal bass in practice, and it was 21.5 inches. And Lambert, if probably he would have had a couple of breaks, he was in the right spot for the tournament. Didn't work out,
man.
It wasn't real bright. But, I'll try to cover as much water as I can and hit 5 in the head 2 days in a row. And, I'm kind of old school, don't use electronics, don't have a motor, and, just kind of go and try to fish instinctively. And it's suited me quite well. And like I said, when I get them on a moving bait presentation, I'm pretty comfortable that I can, get those bites. A lot of times, some people have a knack for catching bigger fish. And fortunately for me, I tend to catch bigger fish, and that kind of can go a long way in a tournament. So
you've had some front row seats for some of Lambert's antics over these last couple wins that he's had too, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, for
it's a good luck charm.
Time, we used to, kind of have competitions about fishing resumes, and at this point, I've just waved the white flag. I mean, he's grand champion, he's a current BOS winner, and current reigning state champion. However, I will say that I put him on the winning spot for the Watts Bar tournament, which is a fact. He's looking, that's not an exaggeration.
In your ear, boy.
Now, to tell you the difference is he saw me get a couple of bites, and he came over there and sit in the same damn spot all day at Ned Rig, which I can't do, which is good for him. And
did not move, son. Did not move.
He did the
cleanup,
same thing
the cleanup crew.
And I have, sadly enough, true story, has been doing this about 6 years. I caught my first 2 scoreable tournament fish on Ned Rigs in that Watts Bar event, in this kind of same stretch of water on the Saturday. And then I was like, I'm going to give it to him because he did well. And I went to a different spot on Sunday. And then I was glad to see him kind of come through and get a win. That's about as brutal of conditions as you'll ever fish in your life out of a plastic boat. It was bad.
You looked it. Looked cold, icy. No fun.
Yeah, cold, icy.
Terrible. It was terrible. It was just awful.
And you got the quality of these fields, and Jimmy knows. I mean, same kind of quality, top to bottom, of anglers. You had right at 100 at Watts Bar, and you had 3 2-day limits of 100 anglers. I mean, that tells you how difficult it was. And so hats off to Lambert for that win. And it's Seminole. Just kind of go through a little bit. I think I finished 24th at Seminole, 22nd at Watts Bar, and 18th at Broken Bow. And Watts Bar was obviously a grind. Seminole was interesting. I had a good day Saturday. I just didn't capitalize and ended up with 4 fish. And said, I'm going to stick to my strategy. I'm going to fish my tail off, both days. And then I felt like I was going to get some good bites on Sunday, and I had 87 and change on Sunday, and went from 53rd to 24th. And I was like, that's good points. That's kind of what you want. And then at Watts Bar, I mean, literally caught 2 fish each day and finished higher than I did at Seminole, which I thought there's no way that's possible. That's how tough it fished. And I actually kind of had a strategy just to kind of go and throw shad rap all day long and kind of see what I could do. And I got a bite on a shad rap and caught I think I caught one maybe on a shad rap, but it was really, really rough. I mean, there were water temps were 40 to 45. I mean, you might be lucky if you found 50-degree water that weekend. And then Broken Bow, Jordan and I went out there, and I mean, he wasn't in the water 10 minutes, and he was just wrecking them. And I was like, okay, here we go. And we fished way upriver. And I had a little bit of a challenge on Saturday, and got my limit a little bit later. And then Sunday, I had a limit at 9 o'clock. And then I had a nice upgrade on a bigger fish. I like to throw that Spro rat. And I caught a nice one on the rat, and I caught two big ones at Seminole on the rat. And Lambert loves that I throw that in tournaments.
I ain't throwing a damn rat. You can keep that.
Broken Bow fish wild. It was like two different lakes, way up the river and then down by the dam. I mean, it was like a 8 to 9 degree water temp difference talking to some of the guys that were way up the river.
Yeah, and and we caught some really nice fish in practice, and then it was like, and you obviously know because you fished it. I mean, it's like you caught a 13, 14-inch fish. It was like, yeah, man, this is great, and so the bigger fish kind of, I guess got sore lipped or just didn't show out on Saturday and Sunday except for Russ, which is not uncommon. And it's funny because I ended up going to the award ceremony because Jordan and I were riding together, and he cashed at Broken Bow, and Russ was there, and he's such a nice guy. He was like, "Yeah, I fished here, and you did this and did that," and I was like, Jordan, I was like, we're driving 2 hours down the road. I said that lake can't fish too differently than what he's talking about where he fished, and so we struggled pretty bad at Fork in practice. And then I said, man, we got to get somewhere that's similar to home as best we can, and we went up by the dam and found some clear water and some colder water. And I caught him cranking, caught a big one in practice. And we fished, Russ was at the same ramp. I think he made a couple of moves. But, I had 91 and a quarter, and my small fish was 16 and a quarter. And that lake is full of 22, 23, 24-inch fish. So I felt really good about how I fished at Fork. That's probably my best tournament. I actually cashed a check there. I came in 17th. And I think they had a couple hundred people in that field. So it was pretty good, nice little, kind of a whirlwind, trip from Tennessee out there, because never been to Oklahoma, never been to Fort.
Yeah. That was a wild tournament. We had Nate on here, and it was like to get in the top 50, you had to have 80 inches. That was insane.
Oh, there was some great fish caught. I mean, some big bags. And like I said, I saw him on there, and I was kind of like him. I kind of felt like somebody would break 100 there to win. And, of course, I mean, still 98's a great bag of fish, but that was an interesting place.
Well, Jimmy, you started out down in Florida.
Jimmy, are you getting robbed? You got somebody breaking in your garage there?
Yeah.
No, it's my wife just got home, and my Dobermans ran off this morning, and I've been calling them right up until I had to jump on the phone, and she just got home and wanting to know where her Dobermans are, and they're still MIA.
Oh, man. Turn up the volume real loud. We'll holler for them.
You're right. I've been whistling, and when we get off here, I'll get on my Ranger and try to go locate them.
So where do you live, Jimmy? You live right outside of Nashville, correct?
I do. I live in Silver Point. We're right up near Center Hill. The Center Hill Dam exit, where you turn right to go down to Caney Fork and Center Hill Dam. I just turn left and go about a mile and a half.
And which local club do you fish with around there?
My first year fishing 2 years ago, I fished with Clarksville area group, and I really didn't fish any, and I won a couple of those. And this past year, I really didn't fish any club tournaments. I fished more KBF stuff and month-longs. But
so you're pretty much just all in on KBF, overall. I mean, from local to national, that's kind of your jam, huh?
Yeah. I mean, I made the 10 house this year, and it's a great event. The sponsors really treat us well. Chad and Christy, you want for nothing in that big mansion. They got your lunch packed every day, all the snacks, and cater you supper in. So that's what I want to get back to this year. So yeah, I'm all in with KBF. I'll fish a handful of Hobies and a handful of BSS, but yeah, my jam is KBF.
And I was going to ask that when we came on specifically. It seems like there's a crew kind of settling in different. I mean, everybody dips their toe in a little bit of each tournament series, but like you see Derek Brundle and Matt Conant and some of those guys, Jimmy, for yourself, fish more of the KBF stuff. Then you've got other folks that fish more of the Hobie stuff. And then I don't really count bass because it's really just 5 opens. It's not an Angler of the Year thing. It's just, open events. But I know they're not picking sides, but why do you think that is, fella? Is it because of allowed motors? Is it because of the schedule? Is it the entry fees? Is a little bit of everything? What do y'all think?
I don't think so much the entry fees. I know a lot of guys would fish more Hobies if they allowed motors, but I understand why they don't. and I'll fish the Hobie. I'll fish out of my big water. I don't have a problem with it, but I would say you would get more participation if they allowed motors. But no, I'm not. I mean, I want to make the 10. I got no problem with Hobie or bass. It's just all making the community bigger and better. So I love all three groups.
Yeah, they say rising tide raises all ships. Everybody's having big turnouts, so it's just interesting to me how or why folks choose the way they choose. Is it regional? Is it vessel specific?
I think it's a couple things. I mean, I think that angler satisfaction is big on my list, and you can't fish them all because there's just so many of them, and it's like, okay, what do I want to do? And for Jimmy, getting to the 10 is his goal. And for me was getting back to the TOC. And I guess it's kind of one of those things, I had no idea, and I almost didn't go when it was at Ouachita, and it worked out where I did. And I was like, man, I really don't want to miss this again. And, so that was kind of my motivation for fishing the Hobies. I have nothing against motors, and I competed with them and against them over there at Lake Fork. Don't really think it makes a tremendous amount of difference from an advantage perspective personally, but I do think until I get so old that I can't maneuver like I'd like to, I kind of like the fact of physically having to make decisions and cover water and pedal 2 or 3 miles to get where you want to go, or do a 10-mile stretch of river like we tend to like to do. But I do think, to Jimmy's point, I think, it comes down to time and schedule, what best fits your time, what best fits your schedule. And, the payouts are great across the board, when you have that kind of participation. So it's not like one's, paying out more than the others. And, there's all this other kind of stuff, but the 10, I guess, is such an exclusive event, that gets you really fired up, and so is the TOC. And it's kind of like, you get into either one of those events, you're fishing with, the best guys and girls, and, it's a lot of fun, and, everybody wants to beat each other, but it's still a great community. So that'd be my take on it.
Yeah. It's,
have you been to a TOC, Jimmy?
I have not.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I know for me, I prefer.
Come on out. We'll have a good time.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna fish a couple of the Hobies and hopefully wreck them and make that tournament of champions. But who know? I don't know. I hadn't talked to Derek or Matt about why they fish mostly just KBF. I know they're pretty heavy. Matthew won the Challenge Series points last year. I come in second in the Challenge Series points. So they're involved with the monthlies, and they like running those XI motors on the front of those new canoes. So I would say that's why they're probably not fishing the Hobies.
I got you. And I'm not throwing shade on them. I'm just, it's just an interesting topic to talk about. So
sure.
Well, I mean, for me, that was one of the big turnoff. I mean, for me personally, number one, I'm not usually in the same state, for multiple days, but I didn't like the online aspect of qualifying for something big back when it first started. How long has the 10 been going now? 3 or 4 years?
I think
it's been going for a while.
Last year was his
so
fifth
I
year.
didn't. Was it? Has it been 5 years?
Yes.
Goodness gracious. I remember when it was back at Bienville, like the first one, when Ron and Corey, was that the first or second one when they split it? Jeff, you remember?
I think that was the first one.
Yeah, I thought that was the first one.
Then they brought him back. That's when it became the 11 after that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right. I like it.
But I do like that they've gone away from, like you said, Jimmy, it's best 3 plus that championship, to where it's everybody on the same water, mano y mano to get to that final event. Very similar to the TOC, except how many trail events are there? Is there like 20?
I think 20? There's 10 events, and if you're doing double, you get 20 events.
Okay, so that's fair.
20, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty. I mean, that's a pretty good shot, though. Like as far as as getting points. Like if you got 20 opportunities, versus 8 or 10, you can spread yourself out a little more.
I guess maybe you could look at BASS as the melting pot, because it seems like you got anglers from both series that come in and fish those. I mean, I know there's a little bit of crossover, but at the big BASS events, you got everybody showing up just for the logo, it looks like.
And I think that's where you're seeing some more of that motor participation and people that are, Bass is a huge draw because Bass has the name. They have, 60 years of tournament fishing history, and even guys that don't know anything about kayak fishing, or they'll go out and grab a kayak and just participate in this. This is a chance for them to get on the Bassmaster stage. That's a lot of people's childhood dream that grew up watching the sport. And I mean, I think it's a dream for any of us to get up on that stage. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. Got a few questions coming in. We'll get back to y'all's questions here shortly. I was going to say, I don't know how many people feel this way, even though my old legs and back can't hardly take it. I prefer a 2-day event. If I'm going to travel, out of town and get hotels and do the whole thing, I like a 2-day event. That's one of the reasons I like the Hobie events is 2 days of competition. A lot can happen between day 1 and 2, as you guys all know. And I like that. So that may be a factor for some people too. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that
you can make moves for sure.
I think that puts a little more strategy into it than, even if you've got KBF, it's a single tournament 2 days in a row. You can go out there and swing with the fences both days, where you go, to Watts Bar and it's, 14 degrees and you got to manage the 10 fish that can be caught in 2 days. I mean, it's kind of, you have to be kind of particular about how you go about your business. So I kind of like I think the 2-day collective tournament, is a better skilled test. And I'm really interested to see, the TOC is 3 days this year. So it's going to be 15 fish, and that's a whole nother level of thought. So, between Lambert's brilliance and mine, I mean, we'll figure something out and try to make sure.
Yeah.
We'll either be the
we're going to figure something out.
People that are in the 49th and 50th place, or you might see us up there at the top of the leaderboard, so you never know.
Yeah. Jimmy Cody mentioned something when he was on that, and I didn't even realize this, is the Saturday, Sunday, 2 separate events. I think Lake Murray, there were nearly, I think it was 150 and 140, but there were nearly 200 unique entries, meaning there were 60 or 70 people that only fished one or the other. They didn't fish, but they couldn't fish Saturday, they couldn't fish Sunday. So I guess that's a benefit to folks.
Sure.
They can't be off on a Saturday. Did you see that at the events you've been at?
Yeah. So lots of guys will come fish Saturday if they've got to be back at work Monday. They can drive and fish Saturday, drive back Sunday. So yeah, you'll see some of that. You'll see Saturday's number typically a little bit bigger than Sunday's number, just for that. You're gonna have some that have to leave and get back to the house to get back to work. Yeah.
That's something I didn't even think about before we had Cody on. We got a few questions rolling through. Let me throw them up here. From Bob. Maybe you can answer this one, Jimmy. What's the best way to qualify for the championship as a weekend warrior? I'm assuming they're still doing onlines.
Yeah, you can qualify through your monthly onlines. And I don't know the percentages. I think it's the top 10%. So if there's 30 guys fishing your month long, 3 of you are going to qualify for the national championship. Or I think it's the top 10% of your trail events as well. So we had 158. So I think 15 or 16 will qualify through that. So there's enough monthly fishing tournaments and Father's Day special events, and you should be able, as a week, you should be able to qualify for national championship.
All right. Randy Creason said,
literally thousands of people qualify for the national championship. Every year is like 2,000 people or more, I feel like, and you get 400. What's the biggest one? 700 and something that turned up for it. But it's a huge field of qualifiers, but then it's a huge field of competitors fishing for the championship too, which is tricky. Which is why, like Jimmy said, the 10 being the goal. I think I would put more, and I know not everybody can spend that time on the road, but the 10 is a much much more of a championship versus a huge open.
I think we had Richard on a while back when he was still with that organization, and he described it good. He said the KBF national championship is the spectacle, the show, and then I think then he was calling the trail championship the championship for the live competitive side of things. And the fact that you can get only into the 10 doing that and the best 3 in the championship, that makes sense. So, did y'all see Randy's comment about the 2-day? He'd like 2-day events better if they cut to the top 50 or so. Outside of a championship, I think that's tough because people travel, man. They pay a lot of money to travel.
You know, if you cut the top 50, I don't know that. And everybody goes into a tournament thinking they're going to win. All right. Like, we know that, but I feel like you're going to cut down on a lot of people that are like, I don't really have a shot at this one. I'm going to stay home, you know, because they're thinking they're not going to make the top 50. If you got a 180-person field and you honestly in your own head don't think that you're in the top 50, you're probably just going to stay at the house anyway. So I don't know that that's a great idea. I understand what you're saying as far as people not crowding your water, but I think communication in these tournaments goes a long way. If you have a shot at cashing a check, just like Eric was saying when we were fishing Watts Bar together, I didn't even have to say anything to him because like he knows, you know, like you're not going to try to cut in on somebody that has a shot at cashing a check, but you have to communicate that. And we see it on the water all the time. I don't want to see 2-day events get cut to. I can see a championship getting cut down. Like if let's say the national championship, for instance, if you have 400 people, one day you cut down to 200, 2 days you cut down to 100, whatever. But you're limiting people on the water. But I don't think cutting 50 down to 50 out of a 200-person field is really good for business.
Did any of y'all watch the sorry, Eric, the NPKFL, whatever it was, the new pro fishing league last week?
Mm-mm.
That's their deal. They do 0 cut downs. Everybody fishes all 3 days, which was interesting. But anyway, go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, no, to Ron's point, I think, like Seminole, you tend to take trips with people. And my neighbor, I'm big on nicknames. We call him Pro Neighbor. Daniel Lyons is a very good fisherman. We go down there, and he wrecks them on day one. And we fished together. We did a stretch of the Flint River, and I was like, you're in a spot. He was, I don't know, 5th or 6th after the first day, and you kind of want to see him do well the second day. I'm like, look, you can have first dibs at every good spot down through here, and I'll stay back. And I did that, and it worked out because I ended up having a great day, and he struggled a bit, but yeah, I mean. I think with a point system, the way Hobie has chose to do it, that day too, I mean, you can catch 3-4 fish on day one and come back and have a solid day on day 2. And next thing you know, you got 70 points or 65 points or 80 points, depending on how tough it fished for the other anglers.
Or cash a check, depending on how tough it is.
You could totally sneak into a backdoor check. And I think, they have been giving out Dakota lithium batteries for the biggest mover. So, if you 0 on Saturday and you come back and you get 80 inches on Sunday and you jump from last effectively to, middle of the pack, you can still walk away with points and a nice prize. So, and I think the other thing that I really like is Broken Bow, I thought fished small because there was such limited launches. And it was crowded, I think, no matter where you fished. But, most of these places that have tons of launches, as wide as the boundaries are for Hobie, we pretty much had that whole section of the river to ourselves, where we fished, Lambert. We were kind of below where you were at. And then the next person down was probably 10 miles down, and it was Jake Harshman. He literally gave us a ride back to the vehicle, when we finished up. So it's kind of like, we didn't see but a couple other anglers, and they had 175 people in that event. And of course, you have Chattahoochee, Flint, and then the main lake. So, there was just so many different options as far as where you could fish. So I kind of like having the large boundaries and, letting you choose to go home early if you don't do well and get no points, or try to grind it out and see what you can do on Sunday if you don't have a good Saturday.
The points changes everything. It gives you an incentive to stay if you're trying to qualify for something,
Especially
I think that's
no shootout. You've got no shootout this year.
Yeah, that's got to be the next evolution for bass, don't y'all think? To come up with something like that.
I would hope so. I would think so. I mean, honestly, like I wish they would have done it already. Like I feel like Hobie kind of laid the blueprint out. We saw a huge jump in participation in these big money buy-in events. Like this isn't, this is a pretty decent investment as far as upfront, purchase price goes on these tournaments. So, I want to see Bass come in and they're coming in at that elite level price tag. Like let's see the 2-day events. Let's see some strategy put in it. I want to get to that point for sure.
Y'all see this comment from Steve? Steve's been watching the thread there. This makes sense with a zillion launch points. It's hell to get good pictures. They probably do have a hard time finding people to take photos out there at the media boat.
I think they kind of predetermine a few, people and have a designated camera boat. I think Ron's had the camera in his boat. I think Dylan Lowry had the camera in his boat at Broken Bow. And so I think they're trying to, get some good footage, but sometimes, if you're trying to find me or Jordan or Lambert, you might have a hard time if we get where we're trying.
Well, you can't use any of the audio if there's a camera on my boat, and you can use very little of the video. So I'll go ahead and throw that out there. I'm probably not the best guy to have a live feed on.
Yeah, for sure. There was one more question for you, Eric. I don't know if you saw this or not. True or false?
I carry the true, 100% true. The Bruno Mars or Keith Sweat or some of the smooth old school R&B. I carry a waterproof speaker and I typically have music going and that's
Keith Sweat.
I think
I got some
girls
Keith
like
Sweat.
that love music. So
I'm gonna cue up some Keith Sweat at Dardanelle.
The same age bracket.
Eric plays baby making music just blaring down the river.
That's what I'm saying.
Dylan and I were talking about that this weekend. He's like, "Have you ever heard Eric fishing?" I was like, "Yeah, he's got his music all the way up. Like I don't see how he fishes like that."
I can't hear that well. It's really not all the way up. It's just enough where I can hear it.
That's awesome. Any more questions out there from anybody watching? We appreciate y'all. We've had quite a few from YouTube tonight. Threw a few comments in there. We appreciate y'all on YouTube. Of course, the Facebook crowd, and then anyone on the podcast later. We appreciate y'all if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify or whatever.
Hey Jeff, can I plug the fine folks at Kayak Cushion? I talked to Mr. Elrod and did about a 17-mile float for a charity event. AJ came up and Jordan and Daniel and I did a float for Fishing for Soldiers, and water was super low. We had to do some dragging, but I used a cushion on the back of the Hobie and the seat, and I hadn't tried that before. And I told Brandon that I'm not a pro staffer, not trying to be, just support him as a local business. I know you guys have talked about the products at times. I know Lambert knows it, but I'll tell you what, man, 17 miles, for an old guy with a couple of pads was pretty damn nice, especially that back pad. That was the first time I had tried that. So I just want to give Brandon a shout out and let folks know that, he's willing and able to do some stuff. He does the right thing. He donated a really nice custom cushion to Fishing for Soldiers, and he's just a good dude. So I told him I'd get the opportunity, I'd give him a shout out.
I gotta get back with him. I left him on red earlier. He asked for
every penny.
He wants to do he asked for us. He wants the KBN logo. He's going to do a special edition cushion.
Nice.
For maybe a giveaway one night or something. But
I need to get him to do a few cesspool.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes.
I definitely run the kayak cushions as well. Okay. I'm not sponsored, but like you said, unsolicited plug. Absolutely. Sometimes I'll put two on top of each other in my seat just for a little extra height, and man, they sit good all day long.
Tennessee boys stick together, don't you?
Hey, that's got a little mafia down here, man.
I'm just a fat old guy. Anything to make me more comfortable.
I got you. I feel that.
All of us are. That's why we're kayak fishing, except Jeff. Jeff's still hanging on.
I'm hanging on, man. Hey, I'm on the points chase now. I'm in the mix now. I'm feeling myself a little bit.
You're definitely in the mix.
In the mix. Katie shared a link to something. Hey, Jimmy, can you zoom in on your badge there on your chest, the Kwanzaa and the Ben patch on your jersey? So yeah. If you guys see that badge on Jimmy's a fellow Old Town teammate. We had two teammates pass away unexpectedly last year. Just horrible horrible situations. But this Saturday coming up, Ben Spangler, who's a fellow Arkansan, was a fellow teammate. They're having a memorial tournament for him on Lake Conway in Central Arkansas, which is just down the road from Dardanelle, matter of fact. So if anyone's within range, Katie put the link in the comments. Come on over. It's a local tournament, cheap entry fee, just in remembrance of Ben. That was his favorite lake. He always smashed him on that lake. So come on out. It's going to be a good time. And
That's awesome.
Hats off to Old Town for putting that on the jerseys this year. That's cool.
Yep.
For sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Any more comments out there? Let us have them. We're not going to keep these guys too much longer on a Monday night. Get back and watch a little more basketball before the night's out.
Jimmy, is there anybody you'd like to thank or plug? Any shops you're working with? Any sponsors you want to throw out?
Yeah, I mean, Old Town. We were just talking about Old Town. They do a lot to get me down the road. They really have stepped up last year and again this year, added some pro staff and really help us get it done. Dakota Lithium is a sponsor of mine. When I fish Pickwick, if that current's still rolling like it is, that 100 amp hour Dakota Lithium is an absolute game changer. I've put about 15 miles on it running wide open before it died on me. When I go down to Pickwick, I'm going to carry 200 amp. I'm going to have 2 of them in the boat just in case. Yak Gadget for any of your accessories. I think JT, they crank out some really good stuff from crates to paddle holders to cup holders. Give them a look. And Halo Rods is a sponsor of mine that I have had really good success this past year fishing with all of my Halo rods.
Hey, Ryan, I didn't know if you realized.
This is news. Did you see this? Did you see Josh Count's comment? Jeff, can you throw that up?
Oh.
He says that's why he uses a kayak cushion, because Jimmy kicked his ass back in the day. Jimmy, Are you the person that chased Josh Counts out of Tennessee? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I did fish with him, around him a lot back when he was in Tennessee. I was happy to see when I started fishing out of a kayak to see his name and reached out with him and connected. Always loved fishing around him in a glitter boat is what we call them now. And I still miss my glitter boat. Don't get me wrong, but I fished out of one sponsored by CNO for a lot of years, and then jumped over in this plastic boat thing. And I've always thought a lot of Josh. He's a really good guy, and is a hell of a stick.
He is a good one for sure.
Did he sigh when he saw your name on the kayak leaderboards too? He's like, son of a. No.
He just took up badminton. He done got out of kayak fishing now.
Ryan, Jimmy talking about the lithium battery he's going to carry with him. I got to update you. I'm no longer the cheapskate with a lead acid. I'm running lithium now. High speed.
Yes. Welcome to the new world.
That's right. Got with Duke. Got 110 amp hour FPV from down there at Mariner, and we are rolling. I'm juiced up now.
Okay. All right.
Save my legs a little bit pre-fish.
I see you, Casey Starnes, Big Starnes Outdoors. He's wanting us to talk about the Fishing for Soldiers tournament. Eric, you fished it. Who won it? Tell us about it.
One of your TVKA guys smashed him down on Chick, and I can see his face, and I know him as well as I'm sitting here, and I can't think of his name.
Chris Walters.
Chris Walters, yeah, Chris and Aaron Walters, because he's got a dual page there, and I think he made it to the Ouachita TOC, and I met him down there, so I know him. And we had 68 anglers. McCormick, the director, decided to do something different. He's, I guess, for 6 years done a motorboat and a kayak together, and it's just a lot. You know, he's trying to get fish judged and fish weighed, and he's got raffles and tons of sponsors, and it's for a phenomenal cause. Smoky Mountain Service Dogs up here in Blount County, Tennessee. They provide service dogs for veterans, and it's no cost food, no cost training. These dogs are amazing. These service guys are also amazing. And he changed it to the spring, and we had 68. We had 68 guys fish, and he effectively, you can just about fish anywhere you want. You can fish Chick, you can fish the rivers, you can fish Watts Bar, Melton Hill, Douglas, Cherokee. And I believe the top two guys fished Chick, and then I believe Jimmy Davis fished on Douglas, and of course we made a poor decision and fished the rivers and didn't do very well. The rain put a hurting on us. We had muddy water and they weren't generating any flow, so it didn't really do us any good. But just a fantastic cause. I think a really good turnout. The fall tournament will still be going on, and it'll be specific to motorboats. So maybe Ryan, you can bring your glitter rocket up there, and maybe me and you can shit wreck them on the motorboat side. I'll invite myself to be a co-angler.
Let's do that.
I'll need a helmet and a seatbelt because I don't trust you driving that thing.
You don't want to, man. We'll be fine.
I know that's right. I've seen you in the kayak. I can only imagine you in a 250 horsepower boat.
I'll pick you up at Twin Peaks. How about that?
That'll work.
Yeah,
so
anytime.
Twin Peaks.
Shameless sponsor plug.
So Ryan wins the state tournament, and he wanted to celebrate. So I meet him at the Twin Peaks in Knoxville, and the two of us end up basically closing the restaurant down. But there was this guy, probably my best story ever. He comes up and he says, "You guys kayak fishermen?" We're like, "Yes." And he said, "Did you fish the state tournament?" We said, "Yes." And he said, "Did you do any good?" And I was like, "Well, Ryan won and I came in fourth." And he said, "Well, that's really good." He goes, "Are you Eric Thomason?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "You're Angler of the Year, aren't you?" Right in front of Lambert. And Lambert's telling half the people at the bar I'm his dad and just giving me hell the whole time because he came up and kind of beat us on our own water. But so that was kind of my one kind of claim to fame there. Lambert's holding the big state tournament trophy, and this guy comes up and asks me if I'm the reigning Angler of the Year, and I was like, "Well,
but
yes,
that being said, you are the big stick in Knoxville."
Do what?
For the local club, you run Knoxville. There's not another name in Tin Can. It's Eric Thomason's house.
Well, I mean, you got to give little baby boy some props, or he'll be, But I mean, Jordan is hands down the most talented guy in Knoxville market, and I think when his maturity catches up with his talent, you're going to see him win some big tournaments, and he's working on it. He's getting better, and he's doing more right things than he did when I first met him, and he's always there. I mean, he's always there. Come check cashing time, and he's gonna be at the very top at some point soon. So I wish him nothing but the best. He's a lot of fun to travel with, a lot of fun to fish with, and he's get to watch him grow up. I mean, I'm twice his age, so I kind of look at him, almost like a little brother, if you will. So
yeah, I just realized last year he's barely older than my son. I was like, "What?
Crazy,
why am I even talking to you, man?"
And he seems like he's been in this game forever. He's 25 years old, and it's kind of like you talk about Jackson Orr and how good he is, and Jordan's, just a little older than that, and he's got so many quality tournaments under his belt, and he's got $10,000 win with second at TOC, and if Lambert doesn't just have an anomaly and just dominate the way that he did, he would have won that tournament. And I just think he's got to get past his mind a little bit, which he'll do eventually.
He's cut that hair, and that'll get his mind.
Well, the mullet, 100%. I mean, the mullet is totally a signature item.
That's his power.
It is.
Jimmy, you're about to chime in with something. What were you going to say before we get out of here?
You were talking about the fishing with soldiers. Then anytime anybody's got the opportunity to take a soldier fishing or support one of them fishing soldier tournaments. I used to fish out of my big glitter rocket, taking the soldiers fishing on Kentucky Lake every year, and it was just very humbling to being in a boat with a soldier that had been blown up or IED, it's just them over there putting their life on the line every day. It's the least we can do to support them and get them a little bit of normalcy back by taking them fishing. So always support anything to do with wounded soldiers.
I tell you, one quick thing on the soldiers that was just blew our minds is Academy Sports, the local Knoxville Academy, just stepped up unbelievably, and they took 4 wounded veterans who all had service dogs who we all knew, and basically gave them a Christmas shopping spree. And it was kind of like a $500 shopping spree, but when they started rolling their stuff out, it was a lot. It was like more like $1,000 to $1,500. And and just, those guys were so grateful, and it was covered by the local news. The director for Smoky Mountain Service Dogs was there. I actually was there and took some pictures with those guys, and these people that support these guys, it's unfortunate that the landscape doesn't recognize veterans as much as it should nowadays, and any chance you get to kind of support Academy or some of these places that have taken a stake. Frontier is kind of the primary sponsor for Fishing for Soldiers, and they're a Hobie dealer. They've got Old Town, they've got several brands of kayaks, and Brant has always supported Fishing for Soldiers. So I'm with Jimmy there. It's something that and I think this community kind of embraces that and does a great job of supporting those businesses.
For sure. And there's a lot of veterans in kayak fishing in general anyway.
Yep.
So,
yep.
One more thing I want to mention, James Haberly reminded me the All-American Kayak Series kicks off on Ryan's favorite lake, Lake Ouachita, April 3rd. Somebody asked if I was going to be there. I will not, because that's Easter weekend, and I think I'd be a dead man if I went out of town on Easter weekend. So, but I'll try to make one of those this year because they're all in this Midwest region. So big things from the All-American Kayak Series coming up in this part of the country. So good stuff. Anything else for you, Ryan?
That's it, man.
All right. Well, fellas, appreciate y'all, man. Congratulations on being the mid-year or whatever year leaders in the AOY. You got some street cred. Yeah, I hope y'all hold on and keep fighting and keep that spot for the rest of the year. And hopefully I see you guys out on the trail here pretty soon.
Right on. I appreciate it. We just got to catch them everywhere we go.
Yeah, you will.
That's all there is to it.
That's it. Simple, right? Simple.
Swing for the fences.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have fun following you. Good luck. You got one this weekend, right, Jimmy? So good luck on Pickwick.
I do.
Is that right?
I do.
Right, man. Good luck, sir. We'll be watching.
Appreciate it.
Good times. Thanks everybody.
Thanks, guys.
All right, y'all take it easy.
Thank y'all.